So let's get your Thursday night off to a brilliant start with Lex. Lex is Managing Director of Cemex in the UK. And as I say, this is his insight to success, things he wishes he'd told his 16-year-old self. It's not full of regret, it's full of learning. It's full of the lessons he's learned along the way, and hopefully that he's passed on to his sons. The reason why this is such a brilliant insight to success is work started for Lex when he was laying slabs in a garden of a quarry manager who invited him to come and work at the quarry. Quarry, Cemex, cement. The rest is history, as they say, but we'll discuss that in more detail in a moment. But suffice it to say, Lex now heads up the materials division of Cemex, responsible for producing 20 million tons, can't quite get my head around how many mountains of aggregates that is a year, 20 million tons of aggregates, so that's 2.5 million cubic meters of concrete in the cube. I'll have you know, by the way, concrete is a sustainable material if used in the right manner. And he's over a revenue of £600 million and nearly 800 employees. And he's a postgrad without ever having studied for a degree. Quite a journey. So his top business tip is build strong relationships and networks. That's the key. And what we hope that you're going to get out of the next hour or so, well, less than that, is insights into business, whether you're just starting out or you're an old hand, challenges that are presented, how they present themselves and how you overcome them, tips on what he feels are the key decisions and moments and milestones where he's made a step change to his career and life, and the pointers along the way, as well as if you could save your questions in mind. I know I've got a few of my own. David's going to line those up, and depending on how many we have and how much time we've got left, you may get to ask them yourself. But let's see where the conversation takes us. Let's get straight into it straight away. So Lex, tell us about your career in laying slabs.
Okay, thank you for that very kind introduction, Ange. I suppose if I went back to school, I worked really hard at school. I tried really hard, but I think my big issue when I was at school is I just couldn't make the link between what I was learning and what good it would do me later on. Now it's I'm not proud of that, but it was just that was just the fact, you know, of.
You were no slouch at school, though, were you?
No. I always worked very hard, and it used to wind me up because all my friends would be out playing football, and I'd have to study hard and still not get as good grades as what they got. So it wasn't through lack of work, but or trying, but it was. I think I was more motivated. I like to I suppose work harder with my hands, or graft hard and see more tangible benefits. So I preferred to work that way. I used to help my dad to clean cars, and I used to go working with my dad. So it was I think that's the way I was always motivated. So when it came to the end of school, I had a place to go to Strathclyde University to study environmental health, but I didn't get the grades at all. I could have stayed on another year at school, but the thought of another year at school didn't really appeal to me at the time. And
now that's in unpack that, Lex. Why?
I just couldn't handle another year at school. It was just I wanted to work. I wanted to get on with my life, and the sooner I was working, the better. So it just felt like with hindsight now, I should have done it. Shouldn't have done it. I don't know. You make a decision, don't you? And I didn't do it. So I didn't get into Strathclyde University. So I got into study chemistry at Napier College, as it was then. They call it a university these days, but it was a college at the time. And probably that was a really bad decision for me because if I thought school was if I couldn't make the link at school, then being in a laboratory and mucking about with test tubes and Bunsen burners didn't really hit the mark for me either. So while I was at college studying chemistry, I worked weekends with one of my friends, and we we used to lay slabs and do a bit of landscaping, and it was, I suppose, the chance meeting when I was laying slabs for one of the neighbours that lived in the town Pennycook where I came from. I was talking with him, and he was a quarry manager, and he said, "Oh, quarrying's a brilliant industry. It's a great industry. As long as you work hard, you can progress, you can get on, you can even be a quarry manager one day if you work as hard as I worked, and you don't need to study at all. So there's no studying involved in quarry." Now, I suppose a few things of what he said were right. I did make a quarry manager. I did work hard, but the studying bit was a long way from the truth, because I probably spent about the next 10, 15 years trying to study to catch up from the studying I didn't do when I was at school. So that's really how it started. I started working at Shipponds Quarry, which was a little quarry near where I'd been brought up in Pennycook, and that was that was really good, and it gave me a good opportunity. I worked in the laboratory there, so I think because I'd studied chemistry, then I managed to get this role in the laboratory. But while I was there, I got involved in other things in the quarry. So if they needed someone to drive the loading shovel or a dump truck, I would do that. If they needed someone to operate the asphalt plants, I learned how to do that, and I would do that. And
I think though, Lex, you said something the other night which I thought resonated, that because you understand it from the ground up, how a quarry functions, you really do get it. Tell people about the dump truck and your mentality when you were a dump truck driver in the quarry.
Well, I think it's just, if you from now, the position I'm in now, then when I go around the quarries, I can talk to the guys that are doing the job, and understand that I can drive a dump truck. At the time I had a license to drive a dump truck, so I can go into a quarry, jump up and sit beside the dump truck driver, and and talk to him about his piece of machinery, the piece of machinery he loves and spends most of his working life in anyway. So yeah, I think it gives you good credibility, and it helps you to understand as well the issues that a dump truck driver might have. And
yeah, you said, and it was like a little detail, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, if you might, so a dump truck driver who complains that his seat's not as good as it should be, then some people, if you were maybe a boss, you might just say, just get on with it, it's just a seat. But if you sit in the same seat all day long, driving back and forward, and if it's just not 100% comfortable, it can make for a very difficult day for you, and you can end up with a sore back. So it's just, I suppose, understanding these little things and how they affect people's working lives, and then goes on their whole life and their life overall is really important. So I learned when I was at Shipponds Quarry, it was great. I learned every single job there was to do in quarrying, just because that was I suppose my nature. But it quickly became clear that I couldn't get on unless unless someone retired or something worse. So I wasn't going anywhere. So I had to make the decision to to spread my wings, and an opportunity came up to be at that time a technical supervisor, so looking after a number of laboratories in the northwest of England. So that was based in Manchester, Liverpool, and around that area. So it wasn't where I wanted to go, but it gave me the opportunity. And
were you with Debbie at this point? Were you married?
Debbie was my girlfriend at the time, so we weren't married yet. I suppose that I've come on to that a lot. It's what's been important all the way through my life is the support that she's given me. So we've moved to a number of places, and every time she's helped me to pack the bags and move on, without complaining. And I think
it's a big deal, isn't it? Especially when you've got two sons.
Oh, it's massive, and it gets even harder when you've got when you've got children and dependents, and you know got to say to them, yeah, I know you're getting on well at school and you've got lots of friends, but we're going to move somewhere else. So Debbie made a lot of sacrifices in her work for me, and the boys made a lot of sacrifices with friends along the way. But without that support, it's always been real. I don't think I could have done it without that support. And the same goes. I've got a lot of friends as well that have supported me along the way. So same for them. So it's.
Let's go into the key people that have helped you. I like this Roger Mayfield, Alan Armstrong story that we could use Debbie here, couldn't we? She told this story well, but go for it, Lex. We don't need Debbie. It's all about you.
Yeah, I think it was we drove down for it's my second interview. It was in Widnes, and I don't know if anyone knows Widnes, but it's not the same type of environment as the picturesque village of Pennycook where we grew up, with the trees all round about. It was a very industrial place. So Debbie was with me. We pulled up in my little white van and for the interview, and I think she was probably thinking, you must be absolutely crazy to.
I'm not moving here.
Yeah, come here. Why would anyone want to come here? So anyway, I had a great interview. Roger Mayfield was the technical manager, and he was interviewing me for the job. But I think he quickly sussed out that I knew a bit more than just technical. So I had a strong understanding of the operational side, and I'd done all the operational jobs, and he brought in the operations manager, who was Alan Armstrong, and him and I really hit it off. And
but you're being modest here. Roger went and got Alan, didn't he? This is the bit Debbie said. Let me colour this in for you people. Roger was interviewing Lex and went to Alan was the boss, wasn't he, Lex?
Yeah.
And he went into the office where Alan was and said, come here and meet this man. He's head and shoulders above it, whoever else is. Now, what was it that so impressed Roger? What were you saying in that interview that so impressed Roger to pull Alan into the interview?
I think it was having that broader knowledge. So not just I wasn't there, and I just couldn't talk about technical. So I knew everything. Well, not everything. That's wrong to say. I knew a lot more about quarrying and what would be expected. And Alan Armstrong, he'd moved from another company, and they had a quarry up in Scotland, which I knew all about, and I knew about the new processing plant that had gone in there. So that interested Alan Armstrong. So these two guys really kicked me off in my career earlier on. Alan helped me to progress within operations, and we went on to become a quarry manager in Colwyn Bay quite quickly, which, being the quarry manager, that was, I think I said to Jans, that was my dream job. That was the position.
Back to laying slabs. That was your prize, wasn't it, at that point?
That's the job I aspired to, and that was me. I thought, that's it. I've made it in life. But it's from there, I then got encouraged to become an operations manager. So I looked after a number of quarries in Cumbria. And then I took on a number of quarries in the northwest as well. And then,
hang on, Lex, unpack that again, please, because I think when you were laying slabs, making quarry manager was sort of reaching for the moon. You're now off to the stars. Bear with the analogy, yes. How did you sort of buckle up and say, yeah, I could do this, in terms of, we're going to come on, people, to imposter syndrome. Buckle up, yes, this is coming later. But Lex, just tell us about that. So you've made your dream job, and instead of saying, I'll stay here as quarry manager, you thought, no, I can do more. I'm going to keep on pushing myself.
I think it's that thing, once you, once I was quarry manager for a few years, as come on to later, but in the beginning, I did definitely have the imposter syndrome. I thought, what am I doing here? I'm too young to be managing a quarry. And
how old were you, Lex?
Probably 30, maybe, something like that.
And you expected to reach it at what age?
Maybe in my 40s or 50s, maybe, or something like that. That would be, at that time, the demographics for quarry manager were much older than they are today. So normally you had to be about much longer to get to that kind of position. But I think, once I'd done the quarry manager's job a bit, I got a bit of confidence, and then we made operations manager, and then another another person, Paul Troe, came into my life, and he encouraged me in the commercial side, and I became business manager then in Cumbria. But again, it was the same sort of thing. I wasn't content with just looking after operations. I wanted to learn about the commercial side. I poked my nose on, probably stepped on a few people's toes, and then, next thing then I'd built up a knowledge of operations. So
let's talk about the difference in mindset from the operational technical side into the commercial side.
Yeah,
are they very different animals?
Yeah, I think they are. The operational people and commercial people in our industry tend to be quite different. And it was, I think, at the time when I moved into commercial in Cumbria, I had the advantage that I think the customers in Cumbria, they didn't like the sharp suited sort of commercial person that just spent all the time in the office in the car, and I would come in, I would have dirt on my trousers and dirt on my shoes and dirt on my hands, and I think they liked that sort of hands-on type of person. So I think it's a different kind of role. In the cities, it's it's a lot of negotiation, very difficult the commercial side, but it's two very different roles, and tend to be two different kinds of people. We find that do well in the two areas.
But you did. You managed to.
Hopefully the bosses would be the judges of that. But I did okay.
And then when did the calling come to board? Was that the next step after doing the operation and technical and the commercial? Was the next step board?
I think around about 2005, I became. I got made to be a director, so I was a regional director at the time. So that was again another huge step for me, and I did that for a couple of years, and I was quite successful doing that, and in 2007 then I got promoted to, at the time it was called vice president. So that's a really grand title to have got to, and but I do the same role now, but we changed the title a couple of years ago to managing director. But that's the sort of career story of how I got to where I am today.
Okay, so if you'd to say about when you're in a board meeting, for instance, if you could share with us all that thing about, I wish at 16 I'd known about, what would you say? Get this, Lex. If you get this, this, and this, it will really suit you. It will fuel you to the boardroom, and it will help you do what once you're in the boardroom?
I think when what got me to there, and there was a big gap, and probably I was a good doer when I was a director, and
you got things done.
I got things done, and I was probably quite reactive, and but I made things happen in a number of ways. But I was probably lacking the bigger vision, or I suppose the more strategic thinking, and I gained that, and in 2007 again I was put on an executive training program, would be probably the best way of putting it, and so I got sent off for a year to study in first of all INSEAD near Paris, and then Stanford in the US.
These are top business schools around the world, aren't they?
Yeah.
How was your imposter syndrome then, Lex?
Oh dear, yeah, it was. Going into that was unbelievable, and I think Debbie tells the story though. The whole flight across to Stanford, I spent studying and making sure I was prepared, and I was surrounded by other colleagues who spent it drinking wine and all the rest of it, so it was just had to be prepared, and make sure I was ready for it, and then the third of the business schools was in Monterrey in Mexico, so Monterrey Tech. But that really changed the way I thought. The lecturers in the business schools were unbelievable, and you say Stanford, it was that was just a different
How,
level.
yeah. How did they open your mind? What did they? Can you remember moments or epiphanies in those lectures where you thought, "Oh my word, this is how it works"?
Well, I think it was that because I'd worked for a few years and I had the understanding of doing the job, and then suddenly when you start to learn about what it means to be a good leader, and what a good strategy looks like, and culture, how the culture of how it's important to ensure that the right culture's in place to make sure that you can hit your vision and your purpose, and get the business to where you want to be. So I think it took me to that, just took me to that next way of thinking. And I think sometimes as well, when you get the opportunity, you get taken away from work and the day-to-day grind, and you just get to think about things with a more open mind. That helps you as well, doesn't it?
You kept your mind open though. Who gave you your open mind?
Who knows?
The mind is like a parachute, works
Yeah.
best when it's open. Who made sure that you didn't judge too much, or you weren't stuck in that quarryman? I don't want to say mentality, because there's lots of quarrymen that might be driving dump trucks that go home and read Proust or something.
Yeah, well, quarry men and quarry women were quite a diverse group now.
Yes,
so
yes.
so it's but no, and I think no, and I even do, it's going back to the time driving a dump truck. I don't think it's any harder a job than what I do today. I don't. I think these guys and girls do an amazing job for the business, and they have their challenges, and I think they're just as big as the challenges I face every day as well. So it's I think they have hard jobs, but I think just a number of other bosses that came on, leaders who helped me talk my mind up, and pointed me in the right direction. And
how did you do that? How did you open your mind up?
I think they just point you in the right direction, and just help you to. My current boss at the moment, who's French, Michel Andre, he's his brain's unbelievable, and if you spend time with him, he's always thinking about how you can innovate or be more entrepreneurial. He's looking for the next product that's that we can put on the market. He's looking at how how we can how with segmentation we can come up with better solutions for customers. How he's always thinking outside the box, and spending time with him, that helps you to think that way, I suppose, and pushes you in that direction.
Yeah, right. And now, if I'm a 16-year-old listening to this, which I don't know whether we do have any 16-year-olds on there, or perhaps parents of 16-year-olds, and they want to get on in the corporate world. I mean, obviously, you've really only got Cemex. Is it really only Cemex that you can draw upon your experience, and RMC when it was rugby cement?
Yeah.
Could you draw upon sort of? I think this is, you've got to be, not got to be, because there's no sort of one way, is there? But what are the sorts of things that you would say help you succeed in corporate life?
Well, I think probably the most important thing at the moment, the most important thing at the moment, in a corporate, certainly in a corporate business, and then hopefully the people on the call can make some parallels to their own positions as well, but or the webinar, sorry. But what I would say is it's important that you're relevant at the moment now, and what relevant to stakeholders and also to yourself. And what I mean.
To explain that a bit more.
Yeah, it's important to me that the organisation I work for is relevant to me, and Cemex are the most amazing company to work for. They've taken me to places and countries that I would never have dreamed that I would have, and met people that I would never dreamed I would ever meet. But the important thing is that they're caring, and that's really important to me. So they care about people and look after people. So that's the number one thing. But at the moment, the biggest push in our business, and we talked about it a few times, is Cemex were determined to make a positive impact on climate change, and that's coming from a position where we're really a cement company. We have a large cement plant in Rugby that one or two people might know about, and as a cement plant, the way cement's produced, you mix clay, stone, and a few other things together, and you heat them up to 1500 degrees centigrade over a period of time. And as you can imagine, that there's a lot of carbon created from that. So you come from a position as an organisation where we'll be, we've got a large carbon footprint at the moment. But the thing with Cemex is we're trying to make a difference there. So there's all kinds of work going on to reduce that carbon footprint. It's things like in the last few years, rather than using fossil fuels, we've actually burnt waste to drive the kiln. So all the waste that people throw away and would normally go to landfill, we're now putting into, turning into, by burning it, turning into energy. Only today we announced that we've managed to crack or have the ability to produce cement using solar power. So that's a first in the industry. So that's really
congratulations.
Important. So really important with that, and then also all the other things around about the purpose of the business. So because the cement, and then what I'm more involved in making concrete than it's what that does, and the products that we produce are build a better future for the country or for the world. So all that material we make goes to make roads, it goes to make schools, hospitals. It's
we need it.
We need it in economy. It's essential. So that's important to me as a person to have that relevance. But if I can go beyond that, it's in a corporate business. It's important to keep investors on board with you. And nowadays, if you don't have that, if you can't show that you've got a carbon footprint roadmap in place to reduce your carbon footprint, then investors won't look at you. So it's really important. And as well as investors, when you're trying to get planning applications through, then planning authorities are looking for that, and the environmental agency are looking for that. So if you want to carry on as a business, have a business for the future, then it's important that again you're relevant to these stakeholders. And
so it's like a Rubik's cube, is it? Would you describe it like a Rubik's cube, that you've got to be careful what the face is saying to the regulator versus environmental activists versus your customers?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's important that, and it's important to me personally. I want to work for a business that
is responsible
and doing all these things for the right reasons, and customers are demanding it as well. So customers, they want products that have got a lower carbon footprint, so that they can design buildings or design projects with a reduced carbon footprint, which is good for them with their clients and is the right thing to do. Suppliers want to work with customers that have again good, strong sustainability. And I suppose the number one as well, the most important one is nowadays, I think, if employees are now demanding that they're only going to come to work for you if you're a responsible company, socially responsible, if you're environmentally responsible, and they just won't join you, unless you've got that. And it's as most people will probably know, at the moment the labour market is very, very difficult in the UK. It's hard to get people to come and work for you. So unless you have these things now in place, it definitely can affect you. And I suppose then just thinking some of the people that might be on the call as well at the moment. Just some businesses, I look round about. I live in within the jewellery quarter in Birmingham, and there's some businesses that do a really great job of being relevant to the customer base, and there's there's one, the Borrow Shop, which is just round the corner, and it's a girl, I think she's called Sophie, that runs that, and she hires out the kind of things that we all tend to buy and only maybe use them a couple of times a year. So, you know, the drill, a
Thank
canopy
you
for
for that.
outside, you know, chairs for when, you know, these visitors come and see you a couple of times a year. So, because
Great idea.
waste's a big thing, isn't it? You know, waste's one of the issues that we're all very wasteful, and that's one of the issues that you know, that we need to address. You know, if we're going to improve our change.
Lex, you glossed over something, which I think if you look at Lex's LinkedIn profile, one of the things that you're particularly good at is bringing people together from different companies and different countries. So share your secret sauce of your recipe on that, please, Lex.
Yeah, I think it's you know, it's to be able to do that, and you know, that one of the first things that you know, helps you to do that. I think it's important to have you know, good emotional intelligence, and you know, one of the books that I've highlighted later on, you know, is just one of many books on emotional intelligence. But I think you need to have that behind you to you know, to understand. You know, to understand how people think, and you know, what makes them feel, you know, feel good, and what, you know, gets them on your side really quickly. And I suppose what I've learned a lot, apart from books, I think, you know, my wife Debbie's very good emotional intelligence. I've learned a lot from her, you know, and it's just that simple thing, like you know, when you meet someone for the first time, if you say, oh, you know, that shirt you're wearing, that blouse you're wearing looks really nice, you know, your hair looks good today, and these kind of things make a big difference to people, make them feel good. So so
it just relaxes them that you're not on the attack.
People, yeah. So, you know, so get people on your side, you know, make sure that you build relationships up with people, because you know, that becomes really important to.
Yeah, and you share with them, don't you, that you like the footy and a good curry.
Yeah, it's just connecting with people, and you know, so it was when I went to, you talked about, you know, merging companies. I was lucky to spend about 6 months in Australia. We bought a company called Rinker, and what my role, I was a leader in the integration of integrating Rinker into the Cemex business. So it was a very different culture in, you know, in Rinker compared to Cemex at the time. They were probably a lot more laid back and easygoing. Had a much more, at that time, much more stronger work-life balance. But you know, maybe that's an Australian thing as much as a business thing. But it's a team of people. So you know, we were in there trying to, you know, drive the integration hard, and you know, work hard and make people work hard. And then, so you know, it's how you bring the two cultures then together, and you know, how you had people in my team who worked for Cemex, people in my team who worked for Rinker with different ideas. And so, you know, how do you bring the two together? And
yeah, was it like a Venn diagram where you had a bit that met in the middle, but there were two hard factions? So how did you do it?
Yeah, well, again, just try and find the bonds that keep people together, keep the interests that get people together. And you have to overcome some you know, real, you know, they sound silly, but they make a big difference. And I remember we went across there. One of the big things that that sort of created the culture with Rinker was every Friday afternoon, around about 4 o'clock, they would stop and they would all meet in the boardroom, and everyone in the office would have a drink. And
oh, that sounds very civilized.
It's really civilized, but within the Cemex culture, you know, we don't.
No, it was a no.
We don't drink during work, and it's for, you know, that's for health and safety reasons. And you know, if we, you know, it's what, again, it's that fairness thing. You know, how can you be all sat, you know, stood in the office having a lovely drink at 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon when you've got your teams out working in quarries, and and they can't have a drink because you can't have alcohol in operational units for all the right reasons. So that was a major issue. So how do you get over that? But it's you just have to find a solution and keep everyone happy. So the solution ended up that when we finished work, we all went to the pub together, and it wasn't perfect, and
because it was a compromise,
it was
but
a
everybody
compromise.
got.
And and it still kept everyone together. We still socialised. We still formed that relationships and got stronger. But it's
Okay, so Lex, tell us a bit about how hard business gets. I mean, you've alluded there to the restructure side of things, but also running a mix. What is it, an aggregates and concrete business together? That's quite a trick as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's they're two different businesses, but getting the most from I suppose from the two sides. Making sure they work apart and work together. So it's a lot of it's again bringing the teams together, working together, because you need aggregates to make the concrete. So it's important that everyone feels like they're part of the one team, and they've all got common goals. So I think you get the goals in place, make sure you've got good strong teams in place, and then just make sure everyone's pulling in the same direction, and that's my job. But you said you're quite right in I suppose large organizations like us, then we have to restructure the business occasionally, and that's because the environment keeps changing round about. So the external environment changes, technology changes, and the economy moves on. So you do have to restructure every so many years, just to make sure that your business is still focused. And that's really hard, because whenever that comes, then it tends to make an impact on people's lives. And that's probably it's not probably, it is the most hardest part of the job for me, because the buck stops with me, and we have to make people redundant, and they can be people that have helped me, and a lot of the time they have been people that have helped me get to where I am today. But you have to do what's right for the business. So the important thing there is you do it in the best way. You look after the people, you make sure the communication's right, but it still hurts, and you come home at night absolutely wrecked, and often broken. So it's
it's your problem is you've got a heart, Lex. Anyway,
I think that's important. I think that's important as well. So
the AI, the emotional intelligence you want to come on to. We're running out of time fast. Imposter syndrome. I can't let us go to questions before we cover imposter syndrome. Now, if we could have a show of hands, David, that would be marvelous. Does anybody think that a man like Lex could suffer from imposter syndrome? Just describe to people what imposter syndrome is, please, Lex.
Well, I suppose I've fought with it all my life, so I fought with it from being the quarry manager in Colwyn Bay. But probably the worst bout I've ever had was in Australia, because when I went out there, I had a team to manage, and there was a couple of members of the team who were in more senior positions than I was, and they thought they should have been leading the team, and that was really, really difficult, because I probably thought they should have been leading the team as well.
Yes.
So
why me?
Much more intelligent, I thought, than I was, and a lot more knowledge and business knowledge. So that was the first time I had it. But it's something that I've had to deal with right the way through, through my life. But just an interesting one on that this week. Nicola Sturgeon was getting interviewed up in Scotland, and you probably, it doesn't matter what you think about the politics, but you see her as very confident and
I'd agree. Leader, she's done a good COVID as well.
Yeah, but she suffers from imposter syndrome as well, So she said she often thinks, what am I doing in this position? So it's even although you can look at people on the outside and you think they're very confident and they know what they're doing, and but they can still have that, and they say I've had it all the time. And I think an interesting thing that Nicola Sturgeon said as well was that maybe if there was a bit more of that imposter syndrome around maybe other political leaders in the UK.
Westminster, for instance, yes, it might be.
I won't get political, but maybe a bit more of that humbleness leading the country and some high positions might be a good thing. So maybe having imposter syndrome's not.
It's not all bad, is it?
Always a bad thing.
No. And Lex, you're going to share with us now how you overcome that. And it's a bit of the SAS, isn't it, really, what you're about, as in when you're presenting in front of these really highfalutin people that you think are far more qualified or cleverer than you or whatever. What's your secret?
I think it's just all about being prepared. Make sure you spend a lot of time preparing, make sure you know your subject, and preparation and more preparation. And I probably over prepare sometimes and I overthink, but it gets you through these meetings, and I know I have to spend more time than most of my peers have to spend, but so be it, and it's it gets
you say that they might be paddling underneath like Billy-O as well.
They hide it very well, a lot of them, if they do.
and also being organised.
Yeah, being organised as well. So it's I've got a bit of OCD as well, which drives my family daft occasionally. But I suffer from a bit of OCD, so I need everything tidy and in its place. And I need to.
You do 3 circuits of the house to make sure all the plugs are in the plug holes and things before you move and things like that. Yeah. And also, you love people and learning about them, don't you?
Yeah, I think that's one of the greatest things about, or the greatest opportunity that I've had, traveling all around, meeting new people from all over the world, and people are wonderful things, aren't they? And they're so interesting, and I think it's important as well that sometimes we don't show enough interest in people, and people like to tell you about themselves, and I love to hear about people, so I love to hear their stories, and it opens your mind as well. I think I probably say myself and the whole family probably in the same position. If we hadn't moved around, we probably wouldn't have had our eyes opened up to a lot more experience.
I love that.
Meeting new people, and so that's been great.
The true value in life is not what you get, it's what you become. So you've traveled the world, and you've been remunerated, no doubt, well for what you've done, but it's not about that, is it? It's, as you say, the people you've met, the experiences you've had, and what you've learned. Yeah,
and you can, at the moment where we live in Birmingham, it's a totally different environment to Pennycook, where I was brought up. So it's
was that rural?
Yeah, very rural, and it's such a diverse environment to live in Birmingham, and again, you learn from that. That opens your eyes up, and as well. But it's also important. I go back to Pennycook. My friends up there, they keep me going as well. So it's important to have the two sides. So it's
you've got those roots.
Oh yeah, they're friends for life. When I go back there, and they sort me out when I need it sorted out as well, and look after.
In what way?
I think it's just that it's nice to go back as well, isn't it, and be with friends that people you've known forever. You don't see them for a long time, but you meet up with them, and you're it's as if no time's gone by. It's as if you just saw them the day before, and they do anything for you, these people as well, don't they? So they're
do they say you've changed, Lex?
I don't know. You'd probably have to.
We'll have to interview them next.
You have to interview them and ask them that.
Okay, David, have we got a few questions lining up?
Yes, yes, we have.
Before we get there, sorry, one moment, David. The top 3 things you'd say to your 16-year-old self, then, Lex.
Okay, so just to make sure I get them, I'm prepared, and I've got them in front of me because I don't want to miss them. So the first thing, build strong relationships. So that's really, really important, and just if you give me 2 seconds, just to expand on that. You know, when I was at the quarry in Colwyn Bay, I got on with all the employees really well, and you know, they looked after me down there. They supported me. If we used to load ships in the middle of the night, and if we had a breakdown, I would just have to phone them up, and they would turn up in the middle of the night. So that has been important. You know, the right way through. You know, build the relationships, look after people. You know, and they'll look after you when you need them. So you know, that's really, really important. And the same with suppliers and customers. Lots of examples where I've been in a mess, and when I was in Cumbria, we'd put aggregates, surface dressing aggregates, which are real premium aggregates, out into lay-bys all over Cumbria, and we had an issue with them, and there was a quality issue, and we had to bring them back, and I thought it was going to finish me off and get me the sack, but with the support of a couple of, you know, a customer of mine, Ken Hope in Cumbria, and a supplier, Alec Moss, and who comes from the Midlands, you know, they got me out of
the doo-doo.
Got me out of the doo-doo, and saved my skin. So again, you know, when things start to go wrong, it's important to have people around about you can trust and you can turn to. So second, that's first one, build strong relationships. Second, work hard, always, and try and broaden your learning. So don't just, you know, try and learn as much as you can, and you know, if you're in a business, try and learn all about it, and learn all about your suppliers, your customers, the different functions, and you know, just make sure you have a good knowledge, so you've got, you know, credibility in what you do. And then the final one, and the most important one, is don't be afraid to make mistakes, and that's how you learn. And I have this conversation an awful lot with our employees. They come to me and they, you know, tail between the legs and say, I've got some bad news, Lex, you know, I've done this and it's going to cause this and whatever else. And, you know, what I say to them is, okay, you know, learn from it. Let's put it right. Let's try and make some good out of it. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's no one out there that, you know, makes more mistakes than me. I make mistakes constantly, and Debbie and the boys will probably tell you how many mistakes I make at home, and I make twice as many at work, you know. So it's, you know, don't be scared to make mistakes. We all make mistakes, and you know, don't let them get to you and get you down, and you know, mess with your mind and your life, and you know, stop you trying to get on. So
we're not failing, are we, Lex? We're learning.
Absolutely, learning all the time, and you know, making mistakes is a big part of that journey.
Okay, so David, over to you. Questions, please. Gosh,
thank you very much. I think you just said then, Lex is amazing about making mistakes. Really great advice. So we've got a question here. Are there any real standout learnings from the business schools?
I think as I said, it was more the broadening my mind, you know. So it was I suppose the impact that you know, how you manage change, and how important you know, the culture within a business is to, you know, when you have to manage change. We're constantly changing, and the environment working is changing. So it's having the right culture in place in a business is, you know, that was a real moment for me when, you know, when I got a greater understanding of how important it was to, you know, have that. If you have the right culture in place, then with that in place, then you can push your vision forward, you know, your purpose forward. You can make your strategy happen, and you can take the business to where you want to be. So I think, you know, that would be the, you know, culture, and making sure the right culture's in place would be the biggest thing.
Brilliant, thank you. And this next question, it says, what's your view on the strengths and weaknesses of vertical integration? I'm afraid I don't know what that means. I don't understand that one personally, but it was asked by Alex. Alex, do you want to?
Vertical integration is when you go from making cement right through to cement benches and whatever, whereas horizontal integration is across the market. Alex, do you want to unpack it a bit more in terms of, so you get the proper answer to your question?
Don't know if Alex is.
Yeah.
Hi, Alex.
So I was thinking about how Cemex dredges its own aggregates, mines its own limestone, clay, and so on and so forth. Would you ever think that Cemex might want to buy that kind of stuff on the open market, or whether you think that's a good kind of vertical integration for the firm?
Yeah, it's a good question, Alec, and good name. I thought I was going to get a question from the ex-Manchester United manager there, but it's a business question. So no, it's a great question. We're very vertically integrated, or we're very vertically integrated in Cemex. So that's an important part of our strategy. So if you think about the start, so the products that probably concrete's at the centre of everything that we do. So we, as far as aggregates are concerned, the aggregates come from quarries, and also I think you mentioned dredging. So we have actually operate four dredgers at the moment. So we dredge aggregates from the sea and bring them into wharfs in the bottom end of the UK. So you know, that's where all our aggregates tend to come from at the moment. An interesting one is aggregates in the future. I think we're again quite far down the road of being able to produce aggregates using carbon. So don't ask me a technical question on that one, please. But we're at the moment trying to capture carbon within a form that will make aggregates. But so we've got the aggregates in place. We've got the cement. We produce our own cement. We also produce admixtures as well, which go in to make the concrete. So they all go into the mix. They make the concrete, and then the concrete then obviously goes on to construction sites to make the big building projects. So we are vertically integrated. It's good to be vertically integrated. I think the only thing I would say from a business point of view is this is just my personal opinion, and not maybe not that Cemex overall, but if you concentrate too much on vertical integration, you can quite easily lose value. So you just start concentrating on the value of the end product, say the concrete, and you lose sight of the value of all the components that go in. So you should try and capture value in the aggregates. You should try and capture value in the cement, and you should also capture value in the concrete. I say you can be quite easily in our business, if you're not careful, then concrete just tends to be the channel to the market, and you use it to sell your aggregates and cement. So that can be that can cost you a lot of money if you're not careful, or a lot of profit.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Alex?
Yes, absolutely. Am I on mic?
Yeah. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. Thanks very much, Lex.
Thank you. Right. I've got loads more, David. We could go on to how many more questions we got?
I've got one more question. You mentioned you had two sons. If they're thinking about starting a business, what advice would you give them?
I think great question. The first thing is find something that you're really interested in. I think one of the most important things to me is that your time you spend at works, you need to enjoy it. And I always think and say to people that your life's split into three parts. You sleep for a third, and you can't do much about that. We all need to sleep. You play for a third, and again, that's in your own hands. You need to have fun when you're not working, but then that other third, which is really half of your life that you do control, you've got to have fun. Imagine you come to your last breath, and you think that you wasted half your life not having fun and enjoying yourself. So the first thing I would say to them is, if you're starting off, then pick something that you're interested in, and pick something that's that you're going to find is fun, and then do lots of research. Making sure you're prepared to do your research, and working with organisations like yours, David. That can only help you to because it's not easy, as it's a big step to make. So again, having support, you know, so when there's organisations out there that can support you, that's very important. And then, as I said earlier on, make sure you've got your family and friends behind you. You know, when it gets a wee bit tough, you need that support outside work, and you know they can all help you and point you in the right direction. And then make sure when you do start the business, you build all these relationships up with people, with suppliers, with customers, all the stakeholders that you come into interaction with. That's so important. So I hope that answers your question, David.
Brilliant, thank you. Have you got any questions you want to ask, Angela? I think we don't have
Yes,
anyone.
just say, would
Thank you.
you say then to any young person or any person looking that's still got some fire in their belly and wants to get on in the corporate world, keep your mind open in terms of, you know, how you looked at solar sustainability, for instance, but also all those lessons that you've learned that have helped drive towards, you know, shooting for the moon and ended up going for the stars. In terms of your body, if we're thinking mind, body, heart, and soul, the body, have the stamina to do the hard yards, to get things done, because sometimes it is going to get hard and you're going to have to stay up till quite late to get something over the line. The heart is really important. Emotion is really important in business. Have that emotional intelligence, and you're saying about primal leadership is one of your books by Daniel Goleman. And then lastly, your soul, make sure your soul, as in your beliefs, are aligned with the beliefs of the company that you're in. So for instance, that you like to look after people and Cemex likes to look after its people too. Would that be a fair summation of all that we've discussed, Lex?
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. You know, personally, if you know, if I worked for someone that didn't share my beliefs, I don't think I could work for them. You know, and I know that's easy to say. You know, it's some people don't have that choice, but you know, that's really important to me. So yeah, I think that's a good summary. And you just need to look after all parts of you. I think that's important as well. You know, you need to be, you know, to be as healthy as you can and have good support networks around about you if you want to succeed. And you need that stability and health. And yeah, absolutely. Without that, I would, you know, I would find it very difficult.
And I think you understand that we have balls in our life. Some of them are made of rubber and they bounce, and others are made of glass and they break if you let them drop. Yeah. And I think when it comes to work-life balance, from what I see from the outside looking in, Lex, you absolutely understand that. The books that Lex recommends are in the chat: Troubleshooter by John Harvey Jones, Rebus books by Ian Rankin. He loves how they're set in Edinburgh. You can take the Scot out of Scotland, you can't take them. Anyway. And then Primal Leadership, as I said, by Daniel Goleman, Leading Change by one of my favorites, Cotter, and then the Effective Executive by Drucker. On behalf of everybody here, thank you so much, Lex. Thank you everybody for coming, and see you next time. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.